Imagine walking down a quiet Los Angeles street on a crisp January morning. The air is still, the city just beginning to stir. Then, out of the corner of your eye, you see something that stops you cold. A woman's body, grotesquely mutilated, lying lifeless in an empty lot. But this isn't just any murder. This is the Black Dahlia Murder, one of the most infamous, shocking, and perplexing unsolved crimes in American history. A crime that even today grips the imagination of true crime enthusiasts, investigators, and Hollywood alike. It was January 15th, 1947, when a local housewife named Betty Bersinger was out for a morning walk with her young daughter in the Leimert Park neighborhood of Los Angeles. As she strolled along Norton Avenue, her eyes caught something unusual lying in a vacant lot. At first, she thought it was a discarded mannequin, its pale, lifeless form unnervingly still. But as she stepped closer, the horrifying truth became clear. It was a woman's body, severed in half, arranged with an eerie sense of deliberation. Elizabeth Short, the victim, had been brutally tortured before her death. Her body had been drained of blood, giving her skin a ghostly pallor. Her face bore a grotesque, forced grin, her mouth slashed from ear to ear in what investigators call a Glasgow smile. There was no blood at the scene, meaning she had been murdered elsewhere and carefully placed in the lot. Her arms were raised above her head, her legs spread apart, and deep lacerations ran along her body. It was a scene straight out of a nightmare, and it would soon become one of the most famous and enduring mysteries in true crime history. The victim was soon identified as Elizabeth Short, a 22-year-old aspiring actress with striking black hair and a dream of making it big in Hollywood. Originally from Boston, Elizabeth had a troubled past. Her father had abandoned the family during the Great Depression, and she spent her teenage years moving between relatives' homes, seeking stability and a fresh start. She had worked as a waitress, a clerk, and even briefly as an assistant on a military base, but Hollywood always called to her. Elizabeth had been reported missing just a few days before the discovery of her body. The last confirmed sighting of her was on the evening of January 9th, 1947, at the Biltmore Hotel in downtown Los Angeles. Witnesses said she had been using the lobby payphone before leaving. From that moment on, she vanished, until she reappeared 6 days later in the most gruesome way imaginable. The autopsy report painted a horrific picture. Elizabeth had been tortured for hours before her death. The cause of death was determined to be hemorrhaging from deep lacerations on her face and blunt force trauma to her head. Her intestines had been removed and carefully placed beside her body. The clean precision of the cuts led investigators to believe that the killer had surgical knowledge, perhaps a doctor or someone with medical training. Strangely, there were no signs of sexual assault, but the brutality of the crime suggested a deep-seated rage or sadistic pleasure. The way her body had been posed led some to believe the murderer wanted to make a statement, ensuring the world would see their gruesome handiwork. The press wasted no time in turning the case into a nationwide spectacle. Newspapers dubbed Elizabeth the Black Dahlia, allegedly inspired by the 1946 film noir, The Blue Dahlia, starring Veronica Lake. Sensationalized headlines painted her as a mysterious beauty caught up in the dark underbelly of Hollywood. The media speculated wildly about her personal life, fabricating tales of her involvement with gangsters, secret lovers, and the city's most powerful men. False leads flooded the LAPD. Theories swirled, each more outlandish than the last. Was she a secret informant, a victim of a jealous rival? Or had she simply fallen into the hands of a sadistic killer who chose her at random? The case quickly spiraled into a tangled web of speculation, misinformation, and dead ends. Just days after the murder, an anonymous letter arrived at the offices of the Los Angeles Examiner. The letter, composed of words cut from newspaper clippings, read, "Here is Dahlia's belongings. Letter to follow." Enclosed were some of Elizabeth's personal items, including her birth certificate, social security card, and an address book with pages torn out. The package had been carefully wiped clean of fingerprints, further taunting the police with the killer's ability to remain anonymous. More letters followed, mocking the authorities and hinting at more murders, but despite their best efforts, police could not trace their origin. The killer seemed to enjoy playing games, making the Black Dahlia case even more baffling. The LAPD interviewed over 150 suspects, but no one was ever charged. Some of the most compelling suspects included Dr. George Hodel, the most infamous suspect. A wealthy doctor with connections to Hollywood's elite, Dr. George Hodel became the prime suspect years later when his own son, former LAPD homicide detective Steve Hodel, accused him of the crime. Steve Hodel uncovered shocking evidence, including a photograph in his father's personal belongings that closely resembled Elizabeth Short. Even more chillingly, the LAPD had bugged Hodel's home in 1950 and captured a disturbing conversation where he allegedly said, "Supposing I did kill the Black Dahlia, they couldn't prove it now." However, despite strong suspicions, no charges were ever filed. The Hollywood underground theory. Some believe Elizabeth became entangled with dangerous figures in Hollywood's criminal underworld, perhaps a secret lover, a vengeful mobster, or even someone high up in the movie industry who wanted her silenced. Corruption was rampant in the 1940s Los Angeles, and some speculate the LAPD covered up the truth to protect someone powerful. The unknown sadistic surgeon. Given the precision of the dismemberment, some theorists speculate that a surgeon, mortician, or someone with medical training could be responsible. But if that's the case, what was the motive? A thrill kill? A twisted experiment? Or something even darker? Despite decades of investigations, books, documentaries, and endless speculation, the Black Dahlia murder remains unsolved. The chilling details and shocking brutality ensure that Elizabeth Short's tragic story continues to haunt Hollywood's dark history. Was she simply in the wrong place at the wrong time? Or did she know something dangerous, something worth killing for? Today, the case remains one of America's greatest true crime mysteries. The killer, whoever they were, has likely taken their secret to the grave. But the legend of the Black Dahlia endures, a tragic reminder of how easily beauty, fame, and ambition can turn into horror in the city of dreams. And so, the question remains, who killed the Black Dahlia? And will we ever truly know the truth? If you love mysterious, unsolved cases and want to support the channel, consider joining the Enigma Files on Patreon. Get early access to articles, exclusive content, and be part of our growing mystery community. Your support helps me keep creating these deep dives into the unknown. Link in the description below.